השם יתברך להביט על הטובות שעושים, ואף שנמצא בהם גם כן מה שאינו טוב. אינו מסתכל, אינו מסתכל, אינו מסתכל על זה, אינו מסתכל, אינו מסתכל, אינו מסתכל על זה. מכל שכן האדם שאסור לו להביט על חברו לרעה, למצוא בו דווקא מה שאינו טוב, ולחפש למצוא חסרונות בעבודת חברו. אוי, רק מחויב להפך להביט רק על הטוב. אוי 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 אוי, ולחפש למצוא בו זכות וטוב תמיד, ועל ידי זה יהיה לו שלום עם הכל, 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 together. Oh, nine, 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 nine. Tidai, nine, nine, nine. Oh, nine, 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 nine. Tidai, nine, nine, nine. Oh, shalom im hakol, shalom im hakol, shalom im hakol, shalom im hakol. Tai na 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 na. Ti dai da 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 dai dai dai. Ti dai da da na 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 na. Ta da dai na 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 na. Tai da 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 dai dai na na. Tai na 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 na. Tai na 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 na. Ta da da na 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 na. Di di da 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 ai na 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 ai na 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 ai na 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 na. Dai da 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 ai da 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 ai da 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 ai da 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 ai dai 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 di di dai da 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 ai da 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 ai da 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 ai da da da. Oy 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 di di dai da 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 ai da 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 ai da 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 ai da da da. Da da da. Oh, oh, oh. Nai, nai, da, nai, nai, da, nai. Tidi, nai, nai, da, nai, 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 nai. Tidi, nai, nai, da, nai, nai, da, nai, nai, nai. שיר למעלות, אשא עיניי אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי, עזרי מעם השם, עושה שמיים וארץ, אל ייתן למות רגליך, אוי אל ינום שומרך, הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל, השם שומרך, השם צילך, על יד ימינך, יומם השמש לא יקקה וירח בלילה, השם ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, השם ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם. שיר למעלות, אשא עיניי אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי, עזרי מעם השם, עושה שמיים בארץ, אל ייתן למות רגליך, אוי אל ינום שומרך, הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל, השם שומרך, השם צילך, על יד ימינך, יומם השמש לא יקקה וירח בלילה, השם ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, השם ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם. Together, na 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 na, oh na 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 na. השמך על יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה וירח בלילה. השם ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. השם ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם. אוי שיר למעלות, אשא עיניי אל ההרים, אוי מאין יבוא עזרי. אוי עזרי מעם השם, עושה שמיים בארץ, אל ייתן למות רגליך. אוי אל ינום שומרך, הנה לא יתום ולא אישה שומר ישראל. השם שומרך, השם צילך יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה וירח בלילה. השם ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. השם ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם.
First, Gemara says, Poischin Mixchlei Dachsanya. I want to thank Reb Moshe and Yosef Karduner and all those who are responsible, Jay, Tsuri, Ross, right, whatever. All those who helped make, and this fella who pushed the mic in front of me so that we could all have a little bit of understanding of what's going on in this world today. We say every night in Ma'ariv, it's a posuk in Tillim, Hasom nafshenu b'chayim, v'loi nosan lamoit ragleinu. Hashem put our lives into life. Hashem let us live. And He didn't let us fall. Lamoit ragleinu. He didn't let our legs fall out from under us. Breslov Chasidim used to say, Hasam nafshenu b'chayim. He put our souls into life. Why? How? V'loi Noson. Because were it not for Reb Noson of Breslov, lamoit ragleinu, we would all fall. We wouldn't have something solid to stand upon. V'loi Noson, without Reb Noson, lamoit ragleinu. What is so special about Reb Noson? It's my favorite topic, but it's because of what Reb Noson did, of what Reb Noson wrote. Reb Noson left over for us a legacy that the Torah is alive. The Torah could feed us anything and everything. All you have to know is the entire Likutei Halachos to know how Reb Noson brings the entire Torah to life. All you have to do is say Likutei Tfilos that Reb Noson authored, and you'll find how your heart could move, could flutter. It can go in any direction that you're willing to accept. Reb Noson brings out the life of Torah. We have always said about Reb Noson that halacha, Rabbi Nachman always said, you can knage my sefer from end to end. You can bend the Likutei Moharan, learn it whichever way you would like. But don't go off one iota from Shulchan Aruch. Right? Shulchan Aruch is the body of Torah. You wouldn't know what to do without Shulchan Aruch. It's the body of Torah. Reb Noson's Likutei Halachos is the soul of Torah. There's a body, but the body doesn't move without the soul. So let's try and figure out in the few minutes that we have that were allocated to us to speak, right? We say tomorrow night is Reb Noson's Yortzeit. Friday morning there's Slichas. Friday morning we're going to say there were 3 tzoros that happened in Tevet. 3 very, very difficult things that took place in Tevet. The first was on Ches, which was today, Wednesday. What happened? Talmai, the king of Yavin, of Greece, decreed that the Torah has to be translated into Greek. Right? The Gemara says it was so terrible that the world became dark for 3 days. 3 days darkness descended upon the earth because the Torah was translated into Greek. Okay? I mean, there was miracles, what went on. The Gemara in Megillah talks about it, whatever. Point is that, what is the big problem? What was the problem? If you remember from Chumash Devarim, Moshe Rabbeinu translated the Torah Ba'er Hetev in 70 languages. He already translated it into Greek. So what was the big problem that it came out translated into Greek? Sfarim asked this question, and they answer, because Moshe Rabbeinu was Kodesh. Moshe Rabbeinu was holy. He knew what he was doing. He translated it according to Hashem. Right? Talmai Melech Yavon, right, was from the Sitra Achra, from the other side, from the side of Tumah. And Talmai was the one who insisted the Torah become into Greek. And from that, we find today the different religions. People quote the Bible all the time and whatnot, right? None of it is Kodesh. There's a King James Bible, right? Whatever, right? There's no Kedusha in any of that, right? How it filtered down? Well, Harvard University is in the news today, right? Anyone know that until the middle 1850s, Harvard, one of the prerequisites of going into Harvard was that you had to speak Hebrew in order to know the Bible. Rahman al-Islam. And look what happened to Harvard today. That's all you have to know about the source, the root of translating the Torah into Greek. I'm guilty. We translate all Breslov into English. We have in Spanish, we have in French, we have in Russian, and even in modern Hebrew. But okay, there's a reason for it. We try and do it in the Kedusha. The second problem that happened in Tevet is tonight. Tes Tevet, Ezra HaSofer passed away. The Gemara compares Ezra HaSofer to Moshe Rabbeinu. Ezra was so worthy, all the miracles that happened to Moshe Rabbeinu should have happened to Ezra also, except that the generation wasn't worthy. But that's how great Ezra was. Ezra, Aish, Sofer, Moheb, Mleches, Alikim, Chulu. Ezra was phenomenal. He's the one who rebuilt the Jewish nation. Literally, he rebuilt the Jewish nation when they returned from Bavel. Right? He was a leader, someone who led Klal Yisrael. Today, a lot of people are looked up to. These are leaders. They're elected leaders, right? They're not leaders. They're all followers. What they do is they follow the polls. Whatever the polls say, that's what I'm for. And if you get elected, you got it. You're called a leader. You're nothing but a piece of garbage. Literally. You have to realize that a leader is Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? Remember that the Jews made a golden calf after Reb Noson brings this. 40 days after receiving the Torah. There's a day in Gemara, it was when they were at Sinai, they were already looking to make the golden calf. Golden calf, idolatry, death, right? Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, go down. He went down, he saw the problem. He went back up and he said, Hashem, don't touch the hair on any one of these Jews. They're my people. I lead the people. I'm putting my neck on the line for the people. That's a leader. Somebody who's willing to sacrifice himself. So that's what Ezra HaSofer was. He did whatever he could to bring Klal Yisrael, to lead them. There was a big problem. Sefer Ezra talks about it, and intermarriage and whatnot. And he separated. He said, no, we're a Jewish nation, we're a holy nation, and so on. The third problem was Asar B'Tevis, when the siege was placed around Yerushalayim. Right? The Gemara says, Shulchan Aruch says, that were Asar B'Tevis to fall out on Shabbos, we would have to fast on Shabbos. Why? Because that was the beginning of the end. That was the beginning. It all depends on the beginning. Okay, what does this have to do with Reb Noson? His yahrzeit is Asar B'Tevis. Well, first let's say that the morning that he passed away, he had someone read to him from Rabbi Nachman's stories. They read the first story, the lost princess. They read the second story, the king and the emperor. The end of the story, the king and the emperor, talks about a zivug, a chosen kala, how they got together. And the last words were, now let us go home. And Reb Noson said, that's what I'm waiting for. So Reb Noson knew that we don't live forever. But what did he do during his lifetime? Reb Noson received from Rabbi Nachman. He took from him all his teachings. He made it into a viable lifestyle. You have Likutei Eitzos, advice. In English, it's called advice. You have Olam L'Trufa, the letters of Reb Noson, right? Every letter screams out Hashem Echad. You have Likutei Tfilos. Reb Noson took Likutei Maharan and he translated the lesson into a prayer to Hashem. Rabbi Nachman taught that you should take anything that you learn and turn it into a prayer to Hashem. How do I fulfill this? How could I fulfill this? Reb Noson did it. And if you read the Tfilis, you begin to learn how to express yourself before Hashem. Right? You feel an ache, you feel a pain. You want to come close to Hashem. You want to do a certain mitzvah. You need parnosa. You need shalom bayis. Whatever it is that you need, Reb Noson covers it in the Likutei Tfilis. Right? How did he do it? He just took the Torah and made it alive. And of course, his Likutei Halachos. Reb Levi Yitzchak Bender, one of the leading Breslov of the past generation, used to say that the Likutei Tfilos is Reb Noson's heart. You want to feel Reb Noson, you want to touch Reb Noson, you want to have your heart beat within you, and you want it to beat with Hashem. That's Likutei Tfilos. That's Likutei Tfilos. Say the Tfilos of Reb Noson. And of course, there's Likutei Halachos, which Reb Moshe has the sefer in front of him, right? What is Likutei Halachos? Rabbi Nachman said a lesson. Reb Noson takes that lesson. He takes a set of laws of Shulchan Aruch, and he explains how it applies to us 7 days, 24 hours a day. Right? Right? Now, tefillin, only 6 days a week. Right? Reb Noson shows you how it applies to you 7 days a week. Shabbos, 1 day a week. How it applies to us 7 days a week, 24/7. Pesach, 24/7, every week, right? He brings everything to life. Let's give a short example and take it from Yeridea, right? There's the law, you're not allowed to eat meat and milk together, right? Basar b'cholov. It's awesome. We all know that, right? Dairy, meat, whatever. Rav Natan says it's a choik. We don't have in the Torah a reason why not. But let's understand something that applies to us. You want a glass of milk? Go to the cow, squeeze the udder, and you have a glass of milk. Simple, right? Nothing that you really have to work hard for. You want a quarter pounder, right? What do you got to do for a quarter pound hamburger, whatever they call it, right? You got to take a 2-ton ox. You got to slaughter it. You got to skin it. You got to take off all the fats. You got to check its lung. You got to remove the blood. You got to salt it. And then you have to cook it because it's still not ready for us to eat, right? All that for a quarter pounder, right? What's going on here? Reb Noson says, he explains that, well, there are things that we're created and we have to do in life. Every one of us. We all born. We all grow up. We all have what to do. Each one has a different mission in life. And you have to do it. You're like a quarter pounder. You're like a piece of meat. You want to get your meat. You want to get what you want in this world. You have to work for it. And it's not easy. It takes a while. It takes time. It takes money. It takes effort. But go ahead, expend that time and effort in order to be able to do what you have to do. On the other hand, there are things that come to us through life. A shidduch, somehow this guy meets this lady, whatever the case is, right? And they get married. They come from different backgrounds, different families, whatever the case might be. There are other things that happen in life. Parnosa, anyone who's in business knows that there are things that fall down to you. Where'd they come from, right? If you're in business, you know that if you pursue a certain contract, you may not get it, right? Now you're desperate. You got to pay your workers, right? All of a sudden, an opening comes from something that you never thought of, and that's where you get your contract. Where did it happen? That's a glass of milk. It comes to you, right? Very simple. That's what Hashem does for us every single day. Now, if you're going to rely on Hashem for things that you need, you're either going to be in a quandary because I need it. What am I supposed to do about it? I have to work. I have to do it, right? On the other hand, there's a glass of milk. Hashem will come through, right? Hashem will come through. I know people who are paying mortgages for 20 years, and they still worry, how am I going to pay the mortgage at the end of this month, right? 20 years they're wondering. 20 years they pay the mortgage. What happened? What are you worried about? There's your glass of milk. Somehow things get taken care of. But never the twain shall meet. Never are you able to say, I could put them together? I'm going to do what I do, Hashem will do what he'll do, he'll take care of me and all that. No, that's not the way it works. You got to do what you got to do. You have to put your efforts in. You have to get up in the morning. You have to daven. You have to learn. You have to go out and do whatever it is that you have to do. You have to take care of yourself. Shalom bayis, hey, you got to be on top of it. You need parnoso, you have to be on top of it. Ishtadlus, they call it, right? But you also have to know that there are things that Hashem is going to take care of you for you every single time. That's just one idea. It's just a page and a half in the Kuta Halachos. Reb Noson explains it according to the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. I'm sure you all know the Mishnah. Im ein ani li mili, uchshani la'atzmi mo ani, v'im lo yachshov emosai. If I'm not for me, who's going to be for me? I got to do my work. I'm the meat, right? Uchshani la'atzmi, and when I am, who am I? What are my powers? What's my strength? What's my energy? Right? But forget all that. Reb Noson says, Im lo achshav emosai. Emosai. Right? We have to know that we have to look for what the Torah tells us to do. That's the Torah that's not in Greek. That's the Torah. That's the Torah. I have to know what my Torah, what I'm supposed to be doing. I need a leader, someone, Reb Noson, who's going to show me how to take the Torah that I learned and turn it into action. And then, of course, you have to know there's a siege of Yerushalayim. The siege of Yerushalayim, the Medrash says that it's called Yira Sholem, right? And it's in the heart. The heart is Yerushalayim. That's the heart of the world. I think Rabbi Kaplan has a book, The Heart of the World, whatever, about Yerushalayim. But Yerushalayim is the heart. Yira, the Gemara says, is in the heart. So what we have to know and understand, that we have to watch out for that siege. That siege is a guy named Satan. He's there from the beginning. He's there till the end. He's there to put the siege around us, right? What we need is to understand that it's our efforts that we daven, we learn, and we can bring Moshiach. And that's what Reb Noson does to us. He makes it real. He makes it alive. He makes it that any and every person could realize that he has tremendous energy and power. And we'll just conclude with a mashal that Reb Noson said about coming of Moshiach. We know today's times are very tumultuous, very difficult, very scary. Very. And all the Sfarim bring that it's like a woman before birth, right? As you get closer to the birth, which is Moshiach, the birth pangs get worse and worse. So someone asked Reb Noson once, if you had all the tzaddikim, Ezra HaSofer, Moshe Rabbeinu, David HaMelech, Rashi, the Rambam, all the tzaddikim of all the generations, they couldn't bring Moshiach. How are we supposed to bring Moshiach? Right? How are we supposed to do it? And Reb Noson gave a mashal of a city that was fortified with a very, very thick wall. A king came and he wanted to conquer the wall, conquer the city. So he sent his strongest warriors against the wall. They all died. He sent the second wave, not as strong, but powerful. They all died. A third wave, a fourth wave, a 10th wave. All the tzaddikim went and they fought this battle. They fought against this wall. someone said to the king, now that all these people are gone, you're only left with women and children. How do you expect to conquer the city? He said, let's walk around the city and let's see. And he showed that the wall is breached in every area. All the earlier generations breached the wall, but they left it for us. We are the ones who can break that wall down and bring Moshiach. That's what Reb Noson teaches, that we are the ones. We have to renew ourselves, right? There was a siege. It was so terrible. But if we start renewing ourselves, we make ourselves new people. I say there is Ribono Shel Olam, and I will rely on Hashem. And that way, guys, we're all going to win the war. Ezra Hashem, we'll see Shalom al Yisrael. B'nei Yisoscho, I'll end with this. He says, Hashem yimloich li olam void. If you add up the letters of Hashem yimloich li olam void, it's 376. What is 376? Well, one gematria is sushi. That's a side item. But it also is Sholem. Sholem is 376. It also is Esav, the wicked one, right? If we are going to bring Hashem Yimloch the Oilam Void to the world, we're going to be the ones to get rid of Esav and to eat our beautiful meal with the Yoson. Meheru b'yameinu, amen. Yaakov Sol, I didn't mention him earlier. Thank you for all the work you did. Right? May Hashem help that you're blessed with everybody else.
כל רינה וישוע בעולי צדיקים ימין השם עושה חיל כל רינה וישוע בעולי צדיקים ימין השם עושה חיל ימין השם רוממה ימין השם עושה חיל נאי Tididai, ay na 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 ay na na. Kol rina vishua beolei tzadikim yemin Hashem osa chayil. Kol rina vishua beolei tzadikim yemin Hashem osa chayil. Yemin Hashem romema, Yemin Hashem osa chayil, Yemina tididai, ay na 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 ay na 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 ay na 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 ay na 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 ay na 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 ay na 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 ay na 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 ay na 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 ay na 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 together Yemin Hashem romema Yemin Hashem osa chayil nai tididai ay na 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 ay na 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 ay na 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 ay na 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 אם אין אני לי מילי וכשאני לעצמי מני ואם לא עכשיו מתי אם אין אני לי מילי וכשאני לעצמי מני ואם לא עכשיו מתי ואם לא עכשיו מתי אם 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 לא עכשיו מתי אם אין אני לי מילי כשאני לעצמי מני ואם לא עכשיו מתי אם אין אני לי מילי כשאני לעצמי מני ואם לא עכשיו עכשיו מתי, לא עכשיו מתי, לא עכשיו מתי, לא עכשיו מתי, לא עכשיו מתי, אשרינו מה טוב חלקנו ומה נעים גורלנו, 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 אשרינו מה טוב חלקנו ומה נעים, אוי אוי אוי, אשרינו מה טוב חלקנו ומה נעים גורלנו, 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 אוי אשרינו מה טוב חלקנו ומה נעים גורלנו, אשרינו מה טוב חלקנו ומה נעים גורלנו, אשרינו מה טוב חלקנו ומה נעים גורלנו, אשרינו מה טוב חלקנו ומה נעים, היי 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 לה 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 אשרינו מה טוב חלקנו ומה נעים גורלנו, אשרינו מה טוב חלקנו ומה נעים גורלנו. מי כהשם אלוקינו המגביל השבת המשפילים לראות בשמיים ובארץ, הוי מקימי מעפר דל מהשפות ירים אביון, הוי להושיבי עם נדיבים, עם נדיבי עמו, תנאי נאי 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 תנאי נאי 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 תרראי נאי נאי תנאי נאי הוי נאי 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 תנאי נאי נאי בשמיים השבת המשפיעים אילו אוי בשמיים ובארץ אוי
First, I don't know if Yaakov Shmerkel's name was mentioned before. Just thank him. He's not even able to hear. He's always so busy doing everything for everybody. And all the chevra that helped. I don't even think that Reb Tzvi was mentioned before. Reb Tzvi Kramer, who was working to put all this together. Yidid Navshi, Reb Yosef. I haven't seen it in a long time because of the Matzav in Eretz Yisrael. You know, we learned Yisrael Ahav es Yosef Mikol Banav. Ki ben zekunim hulai. That all of Am Yisrael loves Yosef. Ki ben zekunim hulai, because at Hashem's old age, at the end of time, we have such a Neim Zmiris Yisrael. You know, at the beginning when things were starting, the Milchama was starting. So one of the Chaver here in Shul brought me a clip, and he showed me that there was a mall, and it said in Tel Aviv in a mall, and the siren went off, and all the Chaver, all the Yidden went down into the basement. There was a garage. I don't know. They went over there to be safer, and they were all secular people. They were not with Yamagas or Tzitzis or Sheitlach. And one guy got up and he began to sing Shir Lamalot. I don't know if you saw. Wait, one of the guys got up to sing Shir Lamalot. And all of them knew it. They were all singing. These Jews were all singing Shir Lamalot over there in that garage when the bombers were going all over the place. Shir Lamalot. And Yosef has been carrying us through. We should go through together to all of us in a good way to the end, to Yerushalayim. My dear friend, Reb Chaim. So, Reb Nachman had his Reb Noson, and Reb Noson has Reb Chaim. So Reb Chaim brought this Torah to the world. That until Reb Chaim began this revolution, this Mapecha, so many years ago, that began this Mapecha, there were pockets here and there, but for the most part, the Svarim were inaccessible to people who are not, even people who are learning the Svarim HaKadoshim, they're not used to the special way of the Breslov Svarim. And all of Am Yisrael has a tremendous hakaras hatov to Reb Chaim. Should continue in good health. It's 120 years. I think that one of the sweetest moments of my life, I think I can say that. And the Baruch Hashem, there have been so many. But I was Zeicha, when I was with my wife in Yerushalayim a few years ago, we spent 3 months in Shari Chesed. And I was with the Olam there in the miraculous little Breslov shul in Shari Chesed, which can contain thousands of people. So like a Beis HaMikdash place that has such a nice Gershon and Shlomo, Reb Moshe, they should all be well. And I was Zeicha to verbring there by Noson's yard side. And at that time, there was a song that came out. I only heard it maybe once. I heard half of it, and I quoted it in the wrong way. But there was a song that another wonderful friend was singing. Reb Shlomo from Zusha was singing this song. Dover you mamish changed my life. So, you know that song, right? There's a song, Dover you mamish changed my life. Now, I thought it said in the song, you mamish saved my life. And I began speaking that night with the words, Rabbi Noson, you mamish saved my life. And then the Chevra, which was wrong, I should say, changed my life, but I didn't know that. But I was saying the words that I felt, which Rabbi Noson, you mamish saved my life. And then on their own, the Olam began to sing, Reb Noson, your mamish saved my life. Your mamish saved. We all began to sing for a long. That niggin. Was anybody there? You were there that time. You remember that? There was something. it was mamish something. And I could say, without exaggeration, that Rabbi Noson mamish saved my life. Not that Hilula, that my life was in danger in Gashmias, and even in Ruchnias, I was living like a nice firm boy growing up in Queens. But he lifted me up from someplace to someplace entirely different. My whole life was changed by Reb Noson. So I want to just bring out one nekuda. Reb Chaim was talking about these days of darkness, Tkufas Tevet. The Lashon of the Rambam in Chistani says that Basir b'Tevet Somach Melech Bavel Nebuchadnezzar Rasha Yerushalayim ve'Hevia Matzor Matzoik Nebuchadnezzar Melech Bavel Rasha, that he brought about the siege of Yerushalayim. And of course, we're still suffering from that siege of Yerushalayim to this day. Until Mashiach comes and proses Teisha of Yerushalayim, the siege of Yerushalayim by Melech Bavel, which means that we are besieged by Bilbulim, by such confusion. Melech Bavel means the king of confusion, the king of bewilderment and confusion. One of the things that I've been talking a lot about since the Milchama began was the famous Gemara. Reb Yosef left the world for few minutes, and he came back, and his father asked him, what did he see? And he said, Olam Hafuch, I saw an upside-down world. And his father told him, Olam Borer, Reisa. You saw, for the first time, you saw a world in all of its clarity. Olam Borer, Reisa. You saw things in a clear way for what they really are. Because this world is a world of tmurais, of bilbulim, of confusion, of bewilderment. The Rishoyim are looked at as tzaddikim. The tzaddikim are looked at as Rishoyim. Every single thing that a person hears on the news or reads in the paper, it's an olam hafuch. The Rishoyim, tzaddikim, Rishoyim. Toiv, ra, toiv. Or choshech, or yom, laila, yom. It's an olam hafuch. There are stories about this Karvus, Reb Noson to Rabbi Nachman. And the one I heard when I began my own journey into the Torah of Rabbi Nachman and Reb Noson. And I might be wrong with this, but Chaim can correct any mistakes that I make. But what I heard was that, you know, that Rabbi Noson was by other tzaddikim before he came into Rabbeinu. Not just tzaddikim, but big tzaddikim. Big tzaddikim. Kedushas Levi, big tzaddik. The Rebbe Abzushia Susi Elenu is by the biggest tzaddikim. Bikashti Aish ahava nafshi, but Rabbi Noson was searching for the love of his life, and with all the great awe and respect and the great love that he had for those tzaddikim, he felt still that he was empty. Bikashtiyu v'lo yimetzasiyu, that he hadn't yet found that love, that light, that life that he was searching for. Ibn Noson was a goyin olam, tzaddik yesod olam. And there's no question that he was astonished by the avodah of those tzaddikim that he was by, but he still felt that that wasn't it for him. Bikashtiyu v'lo yimetzasiyu. One Motzei Shabbos, there was a Malava Malka over there, I believe it was by the Kedushas Levi. There was a Malava Malka, and before the Rebbe came in, the Chassidim had to get some food ready, and they made a girl to see who would be the one that would go get the begelach, you know, the mezainis. And the girl came out, that Reb Noson was the one that was going to go out. He got the number, whatever, to go out and take care to bring some mezainis, whatever they had. It wasn't, I'm sure, elaborate. But to go get some begelach. And Reb Noson went. It didn't bother him. He wasn't too high and mighty for that. He was an onav. It wasn't a problem. But that somewhere along the way, it says that he was thinking, where am I in the world? Where am I in the world? What is this? What's the tachlis of my life? I'm going to go get begelach. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but what's the tachlis? This is the tachlis of my life. It's a whole story of missing Tillim. He was crying. He was someplace. He fell asleep, and in his sleep he had a cholam. And in the cholam, he saw himself on a ladder, like a sulam mutzav arza, roisha megiyeh shemaima. He saw a ladder, and he saw himself in the dream trying to climb this ladder. And he went up a rung or two, and then he fell down. He slipped down. He went up another rung or two or three, and he slipped down. And he went higher until finally, even from that place that he had reached, he fell down and he was crushed and broken on the ground. And from that place he said in the dream, a young man with a reddish beard and long payas. And this young man told him in his dream to grab onto the ladder and to hold tight and not to let go. To grab tight, hold on, hold tight, don't let go, don't let go. That was tough, Kuf Samach Beis. That was a year before he met Rabbi Nachman. He had never met Rabbi Nachman. And the year went by. Rabbi Nachman had already spoken about a certain neshama in the Ukraine. A very elevated neshama that hadn't come to the world, such a neshama for a long time. In the meantime, finally Rabbi Noson comes, and for the first time in his life, he actually met Rabbi Nachman. At that time, Rabbi Noson was 22 years old. Rabbi Nachman was 30. When Rabbi Noson walked in, he saw Rabbi Nachman's face. He almost fainted, because that was the young man in his dream that was telling him to hold on tight and to keep climbing. And he saw Rabbi Nachman, and he was overwhelmed by this. And Rabbi Nachman smiled and said, "We know each other from a long, long time ago, but it's been a while since we've met." And that was the beginning. Reb Yosef was just singing, and I asked him to sing the Nigun Mikimi Me'af Adal. There was one particular area of life where Rabbi Noson writes very often about the koach of Melech Bavel, the koach that the king of Bavel, of Bilbulim, has over us. In one particular area of life, when a person finds himself, after trying, climbing, and every time falling down, flat on the ground, mikimi me'arf adal, in the ashbais mamish. And I was learning on Chanukah, because in Bosa B'chol of Daled, there's Torah here about Chanukah as well. One of the most remarkable things, of course, about Likutei Halachos is how Rabbi Noson ties in the Torah and the halachas into the Yom Tovim, to every yontiv, as Reb Chaim said, to bring every yontiv to life in that Torah. I just want to share with you a few sentences. Here, Reb Noson speaks about the Ikar Bilbulim in life. He begins with Ki Zeh Klal Gadol, shetzarchen lahaskel b'chol pa'am michadash. It's a great klal that a person has to begin each time again. Nu. Kasher his Rabbeinu Zal, as a pamim ein mispar. Rabbi Nachman writes, spoke about so often. And we know from the story of Rabbi Nachman's life himself, how he spoke about how many times he himself had to start over and over. So even in one day, how many times he would start over and over. Rabbi Nachman said about himself how many times he fell off that ladder, again in his madrega, how many times he fell off that ladder, and how many times he felt that he was flat on his back, and he had to pick himself up again. And so on. And here he speaks about the Bilbul. Melech Bavel, the 10th of Tevet, the siege of Yerushalayim. He doesn't mention Asar B'Teves over here, but this is what it is. If a person is honest, and he looks at himself honestly. All of the bilbulim, and all of the nephilas, and the yeridis, and chalisha das, all of the victories that Melech Bavel has over him, especially during a time like now where it's a pachad what's going on. And Melech Bavel and Sasara B'Teves is very strong, the chayshach of this time. So what's the bilbulim? What's the koach of Melech Bavel? Hakalu ayidei ribuy amachshavos u'miyom sha'av l'yom haba u'mishar l'shah. It all comes from a person lying there on his back after falling and thinking how this has happened to me time and time again. Yesterday, the day before. And most people in the world are old in their eyes, in their own eyes. I'm already old in my ways. You look now, we're living in a time you can see Bachrim, who are 15, 16 years old, and they walk around like old men. They look like old men, they talk like old men. They carry themselves like old, broken people. And we all know it's because of inyanim that they've been nichshal in, things that they've been struggling with, and they feel that they've lost, finished. They can't get back on the ladder. That's the strength of Melech Bavel. Where you have a 15-year-old boy, he feels, I'm finished, I can't change. A 30-year-old, a 40, a 50, a 60, I'm finished. And because of this power of the siege of a Jew, Yushalayim, Sion means the heart of a Jew, that the person's besieged with this thought of Yeush, with this bilbul of Melech Bavel. And even the few mitzvahs that this person tries to keep, he keeps them yawning and tired and bored, going out from shul 10 times in the middle, like a kiddush club, he comes late, leaves early, he learns for 2 hours, he can't learn for 15 minutes concentrating, he walks out, takes a break, goes for this, a snack, goes out, goes home, comes back, goes out, comes home, all together a whole year, 24 hours of learning from a whole year. Everything mitzvah sanoshim l'umada. He's excited to sit in the sukkah for the first 10 minutes. After that, he's waiting for rain. Everything is old. And it becomes the same way when he gets married. And in his marriage, he becomes old also like that. And with his children, he becomes an old father, even though he's young. Because he's a Messiahish. I already yelled at my kids like this. I already treat my kids that way. I'm already old in my ways. I can't change. I'm in the ash place. I'm finished. And everything he does is without any yisayris, without any chiyas. V'akol machimus hazikna shekov salem shenachshavim beineim kizkenim. Shezeh mazik ma'oid ma'oid. K'mo shehizra admarzal ma'oid ma'oid. V'omar she'osil liyol zokein. Hein chosid zokein. Hein tzadik zokein. It's forbidden to be old. Not an old chosid, not an old tzaddik. It's forbidden to be old. And he says, so his first encounter with Rabbi Nachman was in the dream. And in the dream, he was lying on his back. And he was already in a place on his level. He was in a place of Yeush. What's going to be with me? Where am I in the world? Going around buying some begelich from Malava Malka. And what's going to be with me? And I tried, and here I am, back where I started. And it was the first time he ever saw Rabbi Nachman's face was in the dream. And Rabbi Nachman was smiling and told him, get up. Grab onto the ladder. Start again. Hold on tight. Start again. That's the whole message of Rabbi Noson, how to defeat Melech Bavel. Lahaschil b'chol pa'am mechodesh bevadai lo yipol ha'olam. Afilu im yaver lov ma. No matter what it is that he goes through. Kitzar chad l'salik mi daitla havi machshavta legamre. Kol ma shavar b'yom ha'avra b'shar ha'veres v'yid me bein atzmo chal yom v'afil b'chol shor kilo ha'yom noilad v'b'chitani ha'yom l'neticha. A person has to erase, to delete from his mind yesterday, even an hour before, and every moment to start again, to get up. Mikimi mi'ofer adal. Sitzarch lachsha b'chol yom b'chol eis v'shah kilo ha'yom u'ba'is ha'shah hu noilad u'bo la'olam. V'retz lahaschel lahakis mi sh'omer v'hayolam. And then Rabbi Noson goes on to explain, there's no time to start reading this Torah, but it's in Halacha Daled, Moshe B'chalav Daled. Rabbi Noson goes on to explain how you see that the Baruch Shalom made the whole world in such a way. And the Kodesh is marich in this, in many places. At the beginning of Chaim, he talks about this. Ever since the moment of creation, there hasn't been a moment that was the same as the moment before or the moment after. Ein shah zu doime l'shah zu. Mish mistakel binyan hilach hamazolos v'kechavim v'shirim atzov ma'amoden ech b'rega echad heim ba'ofen acher. And especially now, with all the modern ways of looking and studying the world, we see there's never been 2 moments, 2 seconds, 2 milliseconds that are identical, that are the same. V'chol elu ha'shinuyim la'ein kates. So why did the Baruch Shalom make the world in such a way? Shall kol ha'olamus, which we can't even see, all the olamus. Hakol b'shvil l'karev l'hamshich es kol b'nei l'b'chol eis el v'yizborach sheze ikar tachlis. It's to be mekarev each and every one of us. That each and every one of us should know always. She'ein raya klal miyom l'chaveru u'mishol l'chaverta. That there's no raya that just because you did something that you shouldn't have done yesterday, that doesn't mean you have to do it today. And just because you were thinking a certain way yesterday or an hour ago or a minute ago is not mechayiv you to think that way now. Get up. Stay off. Stand up. Mikimi me'afadal. Me'ashpois yorem evyain. And in 1 second, lo yishivi im nedivim im nedivei amai. He goes on to explain the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKei. Chaim gave an example from Bosa B'cholov. The mother means, Rabbi Natan explains that there are old ways of thinking. That means that we received, like from the mother, from the home. Send away those old thoughts. Because the concept is merames on the shmos and this tarchum yasrayu. Because this whole story of the bird's nest is a hint to those neshamas that are not home, those neshamas that are lost, and they're trying to find their way back home, back to Yerushalayim. And the only way that you could find your way back home is through this shalach teshalach hasa'eh. Send away all those old thoughts and old feelings in which you're stuck. That's the way to defeat Melech Bavel. I'm sharing this particular inyan with you because it's coming to Asar B'Tevet, which is the hard side of Rebbe Noson, and how in my own personal life I felt, and I still feel to this day, when Melech Bavel's creeping up and the siege of my own Yerushalayim is going. I know that I can turn to Rebbe Noson, and how every one of the Torahs, and every one of the Tefillahs, and every one of the Eitzes is how to overcome the Melech Zokein Uksil, the old Yetzer Hara, that bilbul of Melech Bavel, to give each and every one of us hope to start again. And if that's true, when it comes to each and every one of us individually, Allah has kama v'kama that we're living at a time that's a remarkable, frightening time. And Am Yisrael, by Shmini Atzeres, was on its back. By Simchas Torah was lying on its back. And instead of giving up, we heard the words, Mikimi mi'arfadal, me'ashpois yorem evyain. The Jewish people as a people heard those words. Esai Nai Elohim Yain Yovei Ezri. Ezra Hashem Oisei Shemayim Varetz. And we began our climb on the ladder, but this time, Bez Hashem, we're not going to fall. This time the ladder is going to take us to that place where Yaakov first had the vision that came to him, the Hamaria, the Yerushalayim came to him in that vision, and this time the ladder is going to take us home. And we're all going to be able to see all the tzaddikim. We'll be able to dance to that rikud of the tzaddikim, the mochel that Hashem is going to make for all of Am Yisrael. Amel kulam tzaddikim, b'dugul Hashem v'amitish, mehem yamenu amen v'amen.
בשעה שמלך המשיח בא, בשעה שמלך המשיח בא, עומד על גג בית המקדש ומשמיע לישראל ואומר, בשעה שמלך המשיח בא, בשעה שמלך המשיח בא, עומד על גג בית המקדש ומשמיע לישראל ואומר, ענבים ענבים, הגיע הזמן, הגיע הזמן, גאולתכם. אם אתם מאמינים, ואם אין אתם מאמינים, ראו באורי שזורח. ענבים ענבים, הגיע הזמן, הגיע הזמן, גאולתכם. ואם אין אתם מאמינים, ואם אין אתם מאמינים, ראו באורי שזורח. בשעה שמלך המשיח בא, המשיח בא, אוי 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 עומד על גג בית המקדש ומשמיע לישראל ואומר, ענבים ענבים, הגיע הזמן, הגיע הזמן, גאולתכם. ואם אין אתם מאמינים, ואם אין אתם מאמינים, אוי ראו באורי שזורח. אוי ענבים ענבים, הגיע הזמן, הגיע הזמן, גאולתכם. ואם אין אתם מאמינים, ואם אין אתם מאמינים, אוי ראו באורי שזורח. לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עמד עלינו לכלותנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, הוא מצילנו מידם, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, מצילנו רחם נא השם אלוקינו רחם על ישראל עמך רחם ועל ירושלים עירך רחם 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 אוי רחם על ירושלים עירך רחם, רחם, רחם. ועד ציון משכן כבודך, ועל מלכות בית דוד משיחך, ועל הבית הגדול ציון משכן כבודך, ועל מלכות בית דוד משיחך, ועל הבית הגדול והקדוש, רחם, רחם, רחם. na 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 אתה מאמין שיכולים לתקן, תאמין שיכולים לתקן. אם אתה מאמין שיכולים לתקן, תאמין שיכולים לתקן. אם אתה מאמין שיכולים לתקן, תאמין שיכולים לתקן. אם אתה מאמין שיכולים לתקן, תאמין שיכולים לתקן. היי ליי ליי לה 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 לה
join an exclusive club. The club headed by Reb Noson. The club headed that Reb Noson taught us to bring out the Rebbe's teachings to the entire world. We have here, everyone has a kind of paper here that talks about a project that we're doing now. We have in Breslov research close to 30 books that have to be reprinted. We're asking you to join that club. And let me preface it with the Gemara. The Gemara tells us in Bava Kama, it's in Bava Metzia, Rava, the leading Amora of his generation, said, when I pass away, Rav Oshia is going to come out to greet me. Why? Because I explained the Mishnah according to Rav Oshia's understanding. Reb Noson, of course, explained Rabbi Nachman. We have the opportunity now to explain Reb Noson, to have on high a Malach Melitz Echad, a defender for all of us. Reb Levi Yitzchak Barditchev is called the defender of Klal Yisrael. Well, Reb Noson is like that too. So we'd like you to join an exclusive club. We're asking you for only $1,000. $100 a month. We're not asking it for one shot. We're asking $100 a month for 10 months, right? Put yourself like a leader, put your neck on the line, commit yourself, right? Now, you're all interested in Rabbi Nachman, otherwise you wouldn't be here tonight. You're all interested in Reb Noson. If you give that $1,000, you sign up for that club, there's a picture here of many books that are a value of close to $1,000 that you will receive. Anyone who signs up will receive these books. Instead of having to go out and buy them individually, you get them free as a gift, right? All you got to do is sign up, and we're asking you to do that. Help us continue Reb Noson's legacy of bringing out Rabbi Nachman's teachings to the entire world. And it goes to the entire world. We're in Australia, we're in South Africa, we're in South America. We have all our books in English are translated into Spanish. We have North America, we have Europe, we have Russian, French. Rabbi Sai, you're standing on the threshold of bringing Moshiach. He'll come when everyone starts to turn to Hashem, that Hashem yimloich li'olam void, that it's really Hashem who runs the world. Please, we're asking you, if you can, we know that not everybody is in the same position, but we're asking you, if you can, sign up, be a member of this exclusive club, and guaranteed, according to the Gemara, that Reb Noson will be there for you when you need him. May Hashem bless you all with Chaim and Shalom and Kol Tov, and we should see Yeshua for Klal Yisrael. I would like to just at the end say that thank you to Tzuri Ross, Mr. and Mrs. Farbman, and to Saul for all their efforts to help bring this evening. And may Hashem help that we go away with something that we keep in our pockets, as the Rav said, right? Let's renew ourselves. Get up, right? Let us all be zoichet to get up. There's a song, Rise Up, right? There's a song like that, Rise Up, Rise Up, Klal Yisrael, Kumi, Ori, Kivo, Oreich, Mehera, B'Yameinu, Amen.
Aish.